So I have a treat that I compulsively got myself. And I figured I'd show it because I don't really see walkthroughs, at least in English, of this one. It's pretty new. I think it's just starting to ship. And that is the Honey Lavender Tarot. This is by Lida Pavlova, and I think I'm going to go with Zia on this, or Zia. Modern Magic Press. Before I really get all kinds of into it, something I noticed, there was one of the recent posts that Lida had put up with this deck. People were questioning if it was AI. I'm really hoping it's not. I don't think it is. The artist does have a page with not many posts, and but having looked through the deck and then also kind of meandered around Instagram, I think I just searched for Honey Lavender Tarot. I did find a process video of one of the art pieces being made, so I'm gonna go with it's legit art. It comes across that way to me, even in all the images seem so intentional. I know Modern Magic Press, which I think is Lida's company. I know there are some decks that she's put out that are using AI, but they're listed as such. And the other decks she carries, are connected to artists that to me seem legit. So anyway, hoping that's what this is. And I do believe it is. Having gone through it, I'll try to show you images up close. These are the backs. The edges are this matte, kind of bright yellow, which honestly wouldn't have been my choice for this one. I think I would have gone with silver, or maybe the purple. That would have been cool, or even black, or this kind of soft black color. The box is beautiful. It's got that rose petal finish. Has this magician card on the inside flap. Magnetic. But yeah, let's zoom in a little bit and we'll flip through the cards. And like I said, I'll try to show artwork up close. And so you can get a good look at the details and everything. But I got this deck to pair with a specific oracle. I saw Rose Bay pairing it and I was like, oh my god, because it's a deck that I haven't really delved into because I don't really have a tarot deck that functions with it. And it's the sort of oracle deck I really would prefer to have a tarot deck with to flesh out, at least at this point, to get to know it. And I just came up with all those good, sweet excuses to indulge. But let's zoom in and flip through the cards. I'll get through the guidebook as we go or a bit later. Okay, so we're good and close. I think I tried to film this before and I think I have to adjust. Let's see. The cardstock on this, where the box has that soft velvet, this does not. It's kind of a soft linen. It's a little thicker than some other very thin flexy linens are, but it does shuffle really well. And I just think the art is so beautiful. I love this color palette, and I don't normally go for decks that have a more modern lean to them, but this is sort of modern fantasy story, and the color palette, I'm really in love with the color palette of this deck. It does look like I'm going to have to do some color correcting though in post-editing, because for some reason it's kind of making my white balance do strange things. Look at this hermit. But yeah, like I said, I did find a post with some art process being shown, digital art. And really, having looked through the deck, everything in the images looks so intentional to me. I mean, I don't know. I feel two ways about it, because you kind of have to be a little skeptical these days, unfortunately. But I also feel really bad questioning when it is a legitimate artist. That must be an awful feeling for them. And I do really think that this is legit art. Personally, just having looked through it, looking at the images and how they feel and how intentional everything in the image feels, I have a hard time believing it would be anything else. Oh, the devil. I don't know to what extent this is going to let me get nice and close in on the images. Let me tweak the lighting a little bit, see if I can manage. I think if I have it like this, we can make it work. Look at this for the star card. I love this. And the moon, which has very Hecate vibes with the 3 faces. One thing I've noticed with the guidebook, it's a, slim little white book pamphlet. While the entries are short, it seems to be kind of in a story. I don't know, it's like telling a story in a way. So here for the moon, we have the triple goddess of night, moon, and all things terribly beautiful is waiting at the crossroads. You may have imagined her, but she's still there. We have psyche, fantasy, unclear and complicated circumstances, imaginary worlds, lack of facts compensated by heightened creativity and imagination. I love that. Altered consciousness. I'm just really loving this soft, dreamy palette, and this judgment card is really cool with all these people going up this like spiral sort of tower into the sky. And the world card, that was one I checked because I thought it was interesting. So we have in here, their big adventures come to an end, time to recall and savor every moment of life because one day they will set out on another. But it will be a whole different story. And we have keywords of completion, fulfillment, something is finished, no way to alter it or add something, satisfaction of finalizing something, or quiet sadness that an era has come to an end, releasing the situation peacefully and being ready for something entirely new. So for a small little book, I quite like so far what I've seen of the write-ups. This Ace of Wands is neat. That's another one I want to look up, actually. So that one says, a new adventure is spread out in front of you. It's yours if your wish for it is genuine. Inspiration, a new wish, spark of desire, pure impulse of will. So in the guidebook, pretty much everything has about the same amount of text given to it, and that's pretty much takes up the whole guidebook. And then in the beginning, there is just the inner page that has a spread, which is also in Lita's book, which I do have actually. 3 of Wands. This is so cute. But yeah, it's getting crazy out there when it comes to decks and artwork and figuring things out. I know, what was it, like the Grimm's Fairy Tale Tarot that Llewellyn put out recently? That one is AI. They did say that when, I guess, someone looked into it or on Instagram or something like that, which is disappointing. I was keeping my eye on that one, but I sort of suspected, having seen the artwork, I sort of was worried it was AI. This is really cool. So here for the 7 of Wands, it's like you have this walled fortress and people up here to defend it. And then down here, it might be hard to see, but these all look like skeletons kind of making their way to siege a wall. Really interesting narrative in these cards. The 8 of Wands, isn't this so pretty? I love the colors, I love the moodiness. Our 9 of Wands. We have the 10 of Wands. These are bats up here. And I think of the court cards, the pages are some of my favorites. They're just so sweet and capture that young energy really beautifully. And I think with the exception of the king, all of the courts in the wands have this red ribbon running through it, except he's, or she, I don't know, has the, like, what do you call this? Has a torch lit sort of, I don't know that saber's the word, but you know what I mean. Ace of Cups. Really interesting modern fantasy type representations of cards. This is so cute. There's just like a soft enchantment with this, and it also, like this for the Five of Cups made me really want this deck because I love this idea of like reading a sad letter and there's nothing you can do about it. You know, it is what it is. It's almost like receiving a goodbye letter. And if you can notice, it looks like there are bits that are like crossed out and smudged and torn. So it's almost like someone's returning again and again to this loss or sad news or whatever it may be, melancholy. And I just think that's an interesting take. I think the cup suits in this deck is my favorite because I love the Six of Cups as well. And the 7, this crystal ball, and in the crystal ball is a city, like a fantasy. And then this 8 of Cups, it's like she's letting go of love letters or something that she's held on to, and she's finally letting them go, almost like going from the 5, through to the 8. And then these falling leaves kind of echoing in the atmosphere, that letting go, releasing, moving on. 9 of Cups, beautiful. And our 10. Yeah, this, and the Page of Cups, how sweet. It's almost like meeting a beautiful rose for the first time and just the innocence of a child to be like, look at this beautiful, beautiful thing. So sweet. And our Knight of Cups, this might be hard to see, but we have our knight here, and he's kind of like, there's like these rose petals floating up to his love interest. He's kind of petitioning her, coming to see her in the middle of the night, kind of that Romeo and Juliet. And then our Queen of Cups. Let's read for this one, actually, because I'm curious. So here, he's dancing with the queen of his heart. He has a secret. His lady doesn't know yet that she's going out with the king. Her feelings are genuine. Her love has healed his fragile soul. A caring, insightful, intuitive, and empathetic figure, inner healing, love, and caring for others, which start from love and caring for oneself. Interesting. The King of Cups. Ace of Swords. 2 of Swords. I love the simplicity of this, and yet how it still has that sharp edge of needing to make a decision one way or another. And you get the sense that over here is kind of dark, but there's actually more of a path. Here's a little lighter. You can still almost see the echoes of a path, but it's a call to choose. Yeah, I like this. 3 of Swords, which, again, like a fresh take on the 3 of Swords. Is she, this being like a poppet, is she putting pins into it or taking pins out of it? Interesting to think about how that might show up in a reading. Very cute. Oh, my candle's really being aggressively loud. With this Eight of Swords, you know, it looks like he could stand up and reach his arms to try and get out of this like open window skylight. So I like that. It shows a way out, but brings up the question, how much are you choosing to stay in this kind of locked space? Does this feel like safety? Even though it's limiting. It's Nine of Swords. Super interesting with the color palette. Ten of Swords. And the Page of Swords. Yeah, I love the pages in this. They're so sweet. Got the sword back here faintly, and it's sort of gives this impression of like, is he studying these birds, you know? Trying to understand them and analyze them. Perhaps. Our Knight of Swords. I'm pretty sure this was the card that I saw the like process video of creating somewhere on Instagram. Queen of Swords. This was an interesting one. So this reads, this bird is intelligent, having an outstanding mind and a clear voice. She's already queen among birds, but now the human prince, the future king, asks for her claw in marriage. For that, she has a plan of her own, of course. So this is someone who uses their mind brilliantly, helping yourself and others with your knowledge. Deep and independent thinking, a great mind to put to practical use. And then we have our King of Swords. And this Ace of Pentacles is beautiful. And our 2. 3, which is interesting. It's like an exchange of resources. Looks like they're trading. 4 of Pentacles. Or 5. Yeah, I really love the atmosphere of this deck. And I don't know, I think I was about to say it before, but perhaps didn't. That I totally want to look up some good lo-fi ambient playlists to pair with using this. So it just would totally go with it, I think. This is an interesting Eight of Pentacles because she's holding kind of like a honey pot. And you have the bees flitting around. Masters of their craft. 9 of Pentacles. 10. Page. Or Knight. Queen. And our King, which is interesting because it kind of looks like someone welcoming a group of people for a meeting to kind of discuss and create, you know, alliances and plans, and I don't know. It gives me that kind of vibe to it. But yeah, I think this is such a beautiful deck. I don't have anything that tarot-wise that has this sort of energy and aesthetic to it. I really feel like I'm going to want to dip into this when it starts to feel like winter. You know, right now we're in late autumn, so I could see in like a month or so really wanting to dip into this. And shuffle-wise, like I said, shuffles really well. It's a little thicker than other linen decks I have, and I keep doing this where I'm not close enough. But yeah, it's a little thicker, but it still has really good flex. At least shuffling it this way, because I don't shuffle the other way, so I can't speak to that. But yeah, I do kind of wish the edges were silver or black or purple. I don't know. The yellow color's kind of like surprising because it's not a color that's featured anywhere else in the deck. I guess it's contrast, you know. It does give that contrast. But yeah, nice shuffle. The book, while small, does have interesting entries. If you want to pause and peruse for yourself the way that it reads. But I think the stories and the way the images kind of have their unique narrative, I think it'll be interesting, you know, without even having to dip into the guidebook, because they tell such a story in each image. I don't feel like there's too much going on, and there's also like just enough going on with each image. So as far as pairings, I do have 3 different decks to look at here. The first one I have not pulled out in the longest time. That is Oracle of Pluto. This is a really cool deck, but I guess part of it is it's not one that I've found a lot to pair with. But when I say it looks perfect with this one, like it really, really does. The only thing with this, beautiful backs also, by the way. Here's what they would look like together. But the only thing with this, I love it, but the imagery doesn't give me a whole lot to go off of. It's very much the kind of deck where I need to be going into the guidebook to really get anything from it. Like, for example, with Swallow, let's see. Also, it's not like alphabetical or anything, so boy, is it fun to try and look things up. I think that's a big part of why I struggle to work with this one. Let me look up this card and let's look at it. I haven't pulled this deck out in so long. Okay, so to get an idea of what the guidebook is like, you get, you know, the card name, the meaning and keywords or phrases. Then it talks about the card, and at the end has a further reflection, which a lot of times has a question and things to consider. So for Swallow, we have hope, optimism, last steps on a journey, and trust. The Swallow has deep ties to sailors and naval companies across the world. In the UK, a sailor earns a Swallow tattoo for every 5,000 nautical miles they travel. Lore among sailors is that seeing a swallow is a sure sign you're approaching land, even if you can't see it yet. It represents the end of a journey back home. So, like the further reflection, it goes on, but the further reflection says, when was the last time you experienced the undeniable synchronicity of it all, an alignment of so many serendipitous events that it couldn't be anything other than fate? Try to grab onto that feeling and know that something magic is afoot. So with those keywords of hope, optimism, last steps on a journey, and trust, like I don't know that I get that out of the image with, maybe the lightning is meant to be like a synchronicity, like moment of clarity. I don't know. But then above we have 6 of Pentacles, and beneath that 8 of Swords. So, I mean, I like the deck a lot, but I think this is the thing, like the image it's a beautiful image, but it doesn't necessarily evoke the meaning of the card or the associations along with it, and very much feels like you have to go into the book to get the meaning out of it. And I don't have a problem going into guidebooks, but I do like when the image is also echoing that sentiment, and then I can see it in the image as I get to know the deck. But they do pair beautifully together. So I think they work visually. I may, you know, having these two now, I may give a go a bit more with this one. Like this for the Devil, I can see it has, other than the figure, it has like, even in the hand posture. So, and that's, you know, the whole idea with this deck is all these different hand shadows and Pluto energy of what's in the shadows. but I just don't know, like the art doesn't always evoke the message of the card beyond having just the figure in it. So we'll see. It's a beautiful deck. So that is Oracle of Pluto. It is a little bit of a pain to get this back into the box because who is this by? This publisher, RP Studio? It's a neat idea. You shove the cards into here and the book flap into this, but I do find things wind up getting caught and you have to be kind of a little precious putting it away or taking it out to try and like not make a muck of it. Neat deck, but I'm like ambivalent with that one. The guidebook is really good though. I remember when I was pulling cards from it when I first got it, I was like, wow, okay, the guidebook is great. So there is that, other than it not being like in alphabetical order and you have to go to like an index and figure out what page the card is on. So the next deck, I'm going to save the one that I really want to pair this with for last. The next one, I think goes with this. Visually, it's the kind of deck that goes with everybody, but I think it pairs interesting, or will pair interestingly with this because thematically, given that this has such like a narrative feel to the imagery and the way the guidebook is written, I'm thinking Citadel might play really nice with this, whether it's as a clarifier or pulling a card for like the topic, getting more information about what's going on. These are the backs together. But yeah, because this also has that narrative style of all these characters and archetypes in the Citadel, I think it might be neat. We have the painter with productivity and creation, 9 of Wands above that, 6 of Wands below. So maybe some kind of creative, productive endeavor, feeling really weary, like made a lot of progress, but dang, it's not done yet, feeling weary. And then beneath that is the bullseye, kind of with this image. We have Captain with taking command and teamwork, 8 of Swords, Ace of Pentacles. So yeah, visually, like I said, Citadel kind of is a neutral territory. I feel like it pairs with a lot. This is not my favorite pairing. I actually really love Citadel with Fountain Tarot is one of my favorite pairs with it. But I think it could be interesting reading with this, using it as a clarifier. What do we have here? The Waker, awareness and reflection, Page of Wands above, High Priestess below. Yeah, could be interesting. The Witch, rebellion, experimentation, Empress above, 10 of Cups below. But my most anticipated pairing, let's get to that now. Hopefully I think I had it separated out because some of the images they're a little spicy for YouTube, so let's see. Okay, so the deck that I've been most anticipating to pair it with is Loputyn Oracle. I've had this one for a long time, but I haven't worked with it a ton. I haven't really found my tap into it, I think. And honestly, I think not having a tarot deck to pair it with kind of halts me a bit because while the guidebook is very helpful, you get maybe like a small paragraph, maybe 2. And the images, like the cards don't say anything on them. So you're going purely with the image and whatever's in the guidebook and whatever all that brings up for you. And I just have wanted to have a tarot deck that would complement it and help me work with it to kind of contextualize the messages. And this is like the perfect pair to me. Now, I can't say message-wise how they line up, but you got to admit visually, this is pretty darn good. This is pretty close to a perfect pair, I think. I'll have to see when I work with them if it reaches that status. But I really love how they pair visually. And I'm really looking forward to these together. I think, like I said, I think this is going to be more of a winter dive for me to work with these. So they have that cool tone color palette for the most part. Yeah, they just look so good together. So I'm pretty sure I first saw these paired on Rose Bay's Instagram. And the second I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, that's what I've been looking for. It's the kind of pair I've been lusting after to put with this deck so that I could kind of figure out the meanings for me a bit more with some context of something I'm more familiar with in a tarot deck. And actually, I have some videos I'm planning on doing that kind of are exploring, like, interviewing different cards, whether it's a major arcana, a court card, or a card out of an oracle deck. So that's something I'm chipping away at putting together. I have kind of like the first iteration video on that in the works at the moment. And I'm thinking I might play around with that concept with this oracle. Even though the way I was doing that was more exploring a specific archetype or figure, I still think I can work something out with this deck to kind of either come up with a simple spread or set of questions to help me understand the cards. But it's also one that I think I would intuitively, like, let's see, card 23. Let's look it up in this guidebook here. And this whole guidebook, you know, is in multiple languages. So I think the English, like this right here, is basically what you're actually getting. 23. And this is entry-wise what they look like. But for this card, 23, we have, even if the other is different from you, learn to tear down barriers, give them your trust, and nurture the exchange of emotions. It is not only a gift you give, but also one you choose to receive if you can avoid putting walls between you and the people who care about you in self-defense. It's not an easy process, but working on it day after day will help you receive the love you think you deserve. Trust is also what you give yourself in your abilities and in the power of your ideas. If you do not stop believing in what you can do, if you do not throw in the towel, you will be able to repay yourself worthily for your efforts, and your self-esteem will benefit. So that's kind of an interesting idea. Even if the other is different from you, learn to tear down barriers and give them your trust, because we have this Queen of Swords where the other is very different. And it talks about putting in the effort day by day, Knight of Pentacles. So I'm kind of already feeling like, along with the visual harmony here, the messages are going to work for me in being able to understand these cards and connect. It's really just connect in with them more, because sometimes I don't know. I haven't pulled it out in a while because I sort of was like, I'm just going to hold off until I find a tarot deck that suits it. So, because I do tend to work, even like my daily journaling, it tends to be this kind of 3-card spread. So I'm excited. I'm excited to work with these and see how that pans out. I think this deck will read beautifully. Like, look at this, so beautiful. And then, yeah, now we get to the images that are a little raunchy, so I'm gonna leave it there. This is what the backs look like. While those guidebook entries are pretty short, I'm really enjoying them. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts. What do you think of this deck? Have you seen it? I think it's like pretty new. I did get this off Amazon. It is quite expensive, but I will say it's very well made. Again, not my favorite edging, but it's fine. The artwork is really beautiful. The book, for being small, I think carries its weight. And the box also very beautifully made, very sturdy. So I think that about wraps it up. I'm really looking forward to working with this with Loputyn, or Loputyn, however it's pronounced. I just think these will be a really great pair. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed taking a peek at this deck. I hope you have a lovely day, evening, or whatever it is by you, and I'll catch you in the next one.